India's cosmetic industry is growing at a tremendous pace and is expected to touch $20 billion by 2025. While conventional beauty retailers suffered a huge setback due to COVID 19, online sales have soared. Buying off the shelf seems to be passe as online shopping opens a world of consumer focused conveniences, virtual try ons, live video consultations, and beauty masterclasses, to name a few. Today, on Forbes India Presence, Democratizing E-commerce, powered by GoKwik, we have with us Mr. Kaushik Mukherjee, co-founder and COO of Sugar Cosmetics, and Mr. Chirag Taneja, CEO, GoKwik, to discuss consumer trends, strategies to enhance consumer experiences, and also how e-commerce enablers are helping brands adopt tech-enabled solutions to personalize and democratize the online shopping experience. Welcome to the show, Kaushik and Chirag. Let me come straight to you, Kaushik. When it comes to beauty products in the Indian market, the landscape has been dominated by cosmetic majors for decades, till the arrival of e-commerce and direct-to-consumer selling. What enabled Sugar Cosmetics to become one of the leading makeup brands in India?
I think we were very fortunate to be there present at a time when the awareness building shifted from being very heavily dependent on just television, billboards, print, radio, typical ATL mediums, towards digital mediums as well, such as YouTube, Instagram, Facebook earlier. So, for a new brand like us, which didn't start off with television straight off the bat, building our presence on such digital platforms really helped us get into the consideration set of an audience which was just about to discover beauty, which is why historically all that was available in the market was what they saw on television. But because people started believing and seeing that, okay, there are other options also available, which seem to be very high color payoff, good quality, premium packaging, a lot of my other peers are using it, that helped us get into the consideration set. I think that's where the initial battle, was won. Because once people start thinking of us also, initially 1 out of 10 started purchasing us. Then as word of mouth spread, that percentage started increasing. And it's taking us some time. It's taking us 5 to 6 years to get to where we are today. But we're very grateful for how the journey's played out.
Interesting. Chirag, when you look at the beauty and cosmetic market, of course, there's been significant growth. How do you assess the growth that's been taking place in the D2C industry? And what kind of experiences do customers sort of desire now?
Thanks, Manu, for having me, and thanks for the question. I think if you look at basic human emotions, I think looking good is one of the fundamental things which humans want to invest in. So that's and I think everyone invests in doing that. And I think, I would look at it from fully agree with what Kaushik has said. And also, I think India has moved on and possibly from a very brand starved nation to now at least reaching, I think, in my view, reaching a threshold where everyone wants a brand to their likings, to their, passions. And hence, we are at that stage where different or brand proliferation is going to increase. From an expectation or from a consumer experience point of view, of course, everyone looks at, buying a seamless, consistent, reliable shopping experience, whether it is offline, whether it is online, whether it is direct to consumer. And also, I think as technology goes deeper, people are expecting that, okay, can we have, AR, VR experiences? Can we have AI-based recommendations which understand you? And I think for example, specifically in cosmetics, that does this red lipstick look the same as what I will get? So true colors, etc., etc. These are some of the experiences which at least consumers expect, which of course, are the undertone of providing better, seamless shopping experience.
Okay. Kaushik, what are some of the key challenges that you observe in e-commerce today, and how did Sugar Cosmetics sort of manage to overcome these challenges and, of course, win customers in this really competitive sort of market?
So, Manu, historically, e-commerce has suffered from the same wider trust issue, wherein everybody who sees a product on their screen has that question in the mind that, am I going to get exactly what I'm seeing? Is it going to be the original product that I'm receiving at a fair price? So some of the things which we grapple with is exactly that. Customers who would normally see you at a mall or see you at a store and buy a product, they're wondering, should I trust a new brand whom I have not heard of? I think one of the great things that the current e-commerce landscape offers us is that yes, while there is a D2C platform and plug and play solutions and massive number of very, very high quality enablers that are coming up in the market, there are very established platform plays where purchasing beauty has been normalized. And if we appear over there and actually, make a concerted effort towards showcasing where to play. For example, in our category, I remember when we were looking at the 4 different subcategories of beauty. There was eyes, lips, nails, and face. We realized that it was impossible to even get people to consider us in eyes because there were two of our competitor products. They literally had 85% of the market. But when we looked at lips, for example, we realized that everybody aspired for, let's say, a MAC, which was very expensive. So the challenge was if we are able to create something which is equal or better than that quality for a global product and offer it at half the price, are we able to communicate that? And the first 18 to 24 months of the brand was just building trust, ratings, reputation, reviews on public marketplaces. And once we did that, I think we saw a trickle effect when people started coming to our D2C website directly. And I don't think there is a shortcut to building trust, which is why you bank on the trust of other platforms. You associate and do collaborations with other trusted brands. And having done that over the first 24 months, I clearly see remember the team seeing a much easier flow of traffic and conversions on our own platforms. And I think that rule hasn't changed much, even for brands who are launching today.
Right. Chirag, the same question I want to throw to you. From how do you sort of see the challenges in the D2C beauty space today?
These typical problems, and we like to put this as that e-commerce has these broad 5 buckets, which is discovery, selection, conversion, retention, and fulfillment. So across all 5, there are these bunch of different problems which are there, which either lead to bleeding or P&Ls not being set for D2C brands or not able to grow. One of the bigger ones which we started and have attacked is the conversion rate problem, which is day one we started with, cash on delivery is very heavy in our country. Still 70-75% of transactions happen on cash on delivery. And that across sectors suffers from this interesting abuse problem known as RTO in our country. So solving for that. So that's one challenge which we see. Similarly, 75% of add to carts fail to do the transaction. So imagine everyone, every marketer, every sales guy is trying to get that consumer to buy. And once they are on the funnel, they have decided to add something to cart, and post that they drop. I think that's the most painful moment. And so trying to cover that those are some of the things which we are doing. And similarly on payments, we thought that while payments in India is by far solved, right? I had recently visited Middle East and Indonesia, and I can tell you that India is by way ahead. Just that, now people like us need to look at it from an e-commerce lens. So solving payments from an e-commerce lens is what we do. Largely leading to reduction in CAC for the direct-to-consumer brands, which is directly beneficial to in terms of P&L and in terms of realizing more GM.
Kaushik, COVID obviously changed a lot of things. So now with legacy brands going digital and more D2C brands entering the beauty segment, how are you sort of working your strategy, in growing your market share despite, of course, these high customer acquisition costs?
So, Manu, I think the games, whenever there's a first mover advantage, it's also a temporary first mover advantage because the fact is, if it's working, everybody's going to copy it. So the minute D2C started taking off as a theme, the minute there were e-commerce was pretty much democratized. You didn't have a very big tech team to run a store. We knew it was a matter of time before the larger legacy brands would also come and join the party. So there are two things we do broadly. One of the more obvious things is that if the legacy players are doing digital, the new players have to also do omni-channel. But that's one thing. The other, when you look at our online play, earlier having an e-commerce store which you can order for, which delivers in 2 days, used to be a wow. Okay, that none of the big brands are doing that. Today everybody does that. So what sets a D2C DNA apart is that you continue to explore and push the barriers of what tech has to offer to you, which means a company like ours, we should be the first to try out, let's say, AR, VR solutions, as Chirag was mentioning. Map very intricate user journeys which help in retention, because everybody, as Chirag was saying, nothing is as expensive as getting a new customer to come to your website and try out your product. Payment gateway failures, having recursive loops which try out different payment gateways to minimize cart abandonment and payment fall throughs. This is not what a legacy brand who's trying out an e-commerce play today for the first time will get to, because that's maybe step 2, step 3. But we've spent our time initially, so there's a lot of bandwidth internally which we spent exploring. Okay, what's next? What's going to be next? We were the first beauty brand to actually launch our iOS and Android apps in 2020 January. People didn't have a website back then. I think it's important for us to continue to push that DNA, because as beauty as a category and makeup continues to establish trust, there are a significant number of people who are going to depend on their digital devices for repeat purchases, especially. And brands like us have to continue to win the game. Otherwise, all this effort would be for naught.
Chirag, so how critical is the ease of checkout in reducing customer acquisition costs?
So as we said that you've got someone till the end, and then they're dropping out. And typically, think about it that I like to give this as an offline example, wherein you have decided to buy something, you move towards the billing counter, and then you either saw the line, or you don't have the card, or the card is with someone else, you're shopping with your partner, etc., many reasons, and you decided, okay, I'll buy later, right? So that's what we solve for in the online world, wherein you have reached this stage where you saw that, okay, you've showed intent. And just to explain to you the enormity of the problem, and it's not only an India specific problem. India, of course, is more acute, but more than 75% of transactions are abandoned. Only 25% get converted post add to cart, right? Which is critical, where merchants or as consumers have showed intent, they want to buy, just that, and it's an intricate journey. So for example, from a steps point of view, you enter your login, which is phone number, followed by address, followed by discount code, then shipping option, then payments, and then you get to the thank you page. These are 5-6 critical steps which consumer has to do. At the back end, there are some 27 different modules which work, and which have to work very, very seamlessly, because every second load time here just drops off. And we believe that this is a very critical, and where consumer has showed intent, how do you ensure that they just move out faster? And the beautiful part is that everyone's interest is aligned. Merchant, consumer, and us, all three want that this should be faster. So it just works, better that if we can solve for some of these payment issues which Kaushik mentioned. We can solve for actual deliveries via COD, or pre-filling addresses, or figuring out that what payment options have previously been used by the user, and only showing them the most prevalent, most used one, most rewarded ones. So that's how we have gone about and solving for it. And we've seen almost 25-30% jump across plan.
Chirag, with the pandemic, of course, giving a big boost to digital first brands, how has GoKwik, for instance, been helping D2C players democratize the shopping experience for their customers?
I think the way to at least think about us is that we are a B2B2C business, wherein consumers end up using us and merchants end up paying us. So we have to keep a close eye at both of them, that we solve for merchant experience as well as the end consumer experience. So we optimize for both. The other bucket which we have started to touch now is retention, wherein we have recently started to do very deep work on WhatsApp commerce, wherein we believe that the next wave is, or next wave in India is going to be conversational commerce. And there, think about that you can complete transactions, abandon carts within WhatsApp, post-order communications. And these are all part of, once you are building a brand, these are all part of ensuring that trust remains high. Consumer is looking forward to the product which they've ordered. And then, of course, once they've experienced the product, then how do you gather reviews? And then you move on to, a repeat selling, subscriptions, all of that, depending on the product category. And then you can, of course, start retargeting them also. So that's another bucket which we have started to now solve for, which we believe, as macro has changed, the focus suddenly has come down to retention, repeat customers, as compared to 2021.
Kaushik, enablers obviously they're playing a significant role in the e-commerce industry these days. What, according to you, has been their role, in the D2C space, and have you partnered with any of the enablers, and what's been your experience so far?
I think there was a time when just having a website meant that you were winning. Today it's
Okay.
different. Enablers to help you continue to win in an exceedingly competitive. See, tech has been democratized. So what actually is a very, it's been solved. So what can actually help is how soon and how rapidly you can explore slash exploit enablers that are available in the market. And Manu, if you look at the entire chain of events that happen in a transaction, right? There are enablers across the chain that are doing some really cutting edge work. Right at the beginning, if you look at it, there are retention marketing journeys which automatically trigger out mails to ex customers, past customers saying that you've not shopped in so long, or help you cross sell upsell, say that you've shopped a category. Hey, by the way, this lipstick goes great with your kajal. So these can happen while you're sleeping because there's tech and there's enablers that's actually doing it. Now, once you've brought a customer in, there's a bunch of enablers over there which say that, okay, if you like this, you would also 90% of the people who bought this also purchase this. It's impossible to build all of these on your own. There are examples right now which basically enablers right now which want us to complete a checkout without us having to move a finger. Even when the OTP comes, there's something which says that touch to stop, or just let it be. The OTP is automatically going to enter into the field, submitted, and the transaction is going to go through. And that's the spirit of innovation that you see in enablers in the market and in India. For every friction that comes up due to sometimes government regulations, policies, sometimes safety, there is somebody who's working furiously hard to help that conversion happen, to help that retention happen, to help that abandoned cart not be abandoned anymore. Which is why brands like us, when we face that tough question that are you a tech company, how are you going to compete with tech, we have an answer because there's a stack. We can just say that this is what we're integrating. These are proven enablers, world-class enablers. Because one thing's proven: it is possible to build a world-class SaaS company being based out of India. And that, I think, is the biggest thing going in when we see all the enablers that are helping brands like us continue to do well online and grow our D2C channel.
Right. Chirag, two of the biggest challenges for D2C brands today, of course, is high drop-offs, and you earlier referred to, RTOs. How do you solve these problems? And I'm certain you've worked with quite a few companies. So, what are some of the solutions that you've had in mind?
It's a very unique India-specific problem, or at least I would say this is more, breakout nations problem. This problem does not exist in mature countries. And what it means is, this is RTO is not returns. It is different from returns. It is failed deliveries. It is someone who came at your doorstep, a delivery boy came at your doorstep, and you decided not to take the order. So that's RTO. To give you more context, India, 70-75% transactions happen on cash on delivery. And this phenomena of RTO largely happens on cash on delivery. And 25-30% of cash on delivery transactions become RTO. So that's the extent of the problem. And fundamentally, from a first principle point of view, the way we looked at it differently is that in the industry, this problem is perceived to be a logistic problem. So the KPI rests with the logistics operations guy. The way we looked at differently is that, if you start solving via logistics, it's like treating symptoms. We looked at the source of the problem and we said that this is largely a consumer intent problem, right? Or this is a negative consequence of impulse marketing, right? This is what, as marketers, we want to do. We want to, persuade consumers to buy on impulse, but this is a negative consequence that when consumers rationalize, then they decide, okay, I don't need this order. So it's a constraint optimization problem. So we went about and we thought that, okay, can we be in the business of predicting this consumer intent and identifying people who are really bad and help the entire network get benefited out of it. So that's how we went about it in terms of solving the problem. And today, across portfolio, we have been able to reduce RTOs by 25% for almost all our brands.
When it comes to sugar, you've generally been a company that has been very bullish and innovative with your marketing campaigns. With all of these new marketing trends around live commerce, metaverse, conversational commerce, all of that. How are you looking to sort of tap on that going forward?
So, Mano, our by default stance is that whenever something shiny new comes up, we want to throw ourselves at it and at least study and learn it before we start, pushing actual monies implementing it. So, if
Right.
you mention some of the themes, I think in our industry, live commerce is going to be huge. I mean, I know many people are still on the fence. We as a company have no doubt. It is going to be huge, not just because it's become huge in China and other countries. Our industry is built for that because cosmetics and beauty, you need to see pigmentation. You need to see how it is used. So education in an entertaining way. So it's sort of a edutainment, if you will. I mean, a lot of big players, Nika, like a lot of brands like us, we were able to build a relationship with our consumer, not by showing them a product and saying that, hey, this is at X% off. It's because of the time and effort taken to educate the consumers that, this is how we can use it to create what. So we are big believers in live commerce. Conversational commerce, of course, is going to be very big. I'm not sure of the exact applicability in our platform. See, our industry is a very visual platform, which is why for us, Facebook and Instagram work very well more than Google search because it's very visual. When you see colors, when you see what you can make with the products, the looks you can create with the products.
Absolutely. Chirag, we are of course in the middle of a big festive season now. What are the kind of trends that you're seeing during this festive season, especially when it comes to the beauty and skincare space?
So I think more than 40-45% of sale of the entire year happened in this quarter. So everyone looks up to it, and we've just got, I think, some initial data from some of these marketplaces that India in the last 7-8 days or in the first phase of the sale, 80 million people have shopped. Right, that's a
Wow.
staggering number, and $5.7 billion of sales have happened. So those numbers are through the roof. If anyone was thinking that India is having a slowdown or is that's around the corner, I don't think so. That's happening. We might just be very lucky that the festive season is around, and by that time, we're just through. I think, and the way at least I look at the overall space is that D2C, of course, will balance this out, wherein the consumer is now in the shopping mode, and then now every brand realizes that they can't take on marketplaces against their D2C. So they will optimize for marketplaces and then juxtapose that with D2C campaigns when marketplaces sales are off. So that's how we are seeing. And in fact, post the sale, in fact, we have seen that jump wherein D2C brands have jumped up immediately after the sale, first phase of sale has gone down. And I expect that at least this month will be very heavy on marketplaces. So expect this from a sale number point of view to be like 10-15% up on D2C as compared to September. But November, December is typically when we have historically seen D2C brands really kill it in terms of scaling up, in terms of putting out offers.
Kaushik, Chirag has thrown some phenomenal numbers. How is the festive season turning out for you, and what's been your strategy this year to make the most of the season? And how's the D2C channel particularly doing for you, in this during this festive season?
So, Manu, after 2 years of stop go due to lockdowns and COVID, this is the one year I think all D2C brands have been looking forward because we've had an uninterrupted run up towards
Right.
Q3, especially in industry like ours. Q3 is where you make the maximum sales because of festive push, because of the marriage season. It's brilliant. I mean, you pretty much make up half your annual turnover, 45% to be precise for us in these 3 months. So it started off very well. Of course, we've had Philip from larger platforms like Amazon, Flipkart having extended sale periods. And what happens is, typically you would expect that when partner channels, other portals are going very aggressive, D2C sales is going to drop. But every year on year, we see that whenever those sales increase, people who come and shop from our website, even our sales see a spike. That's probably because of all the advertising and promotion. Everybody, I mean, all our consumers as humans, they get into the shopping mode. And it's natural to compare not just pricing, compare some offers, some freebies, some latest launches. So we actually toned down our marketing on our own website during this peak season, at least October every year, because we see that with the additional traffic that's coming in, and of course with the television campaign gone live right now, there is some organic traffic as well. So the numbers have already spiked like more than what they've spiked in the last 2 years. So we typically on our partner channel see a 2.5x jump. whereas the number on our D2C website is typically 1.5 to 2x. It's very sales specific though, but by and large, October as a month is our biggest. November is typically flat after October because of one day less, and December we see a new high. That becomes a new normal on which we base our next year's annual operating plan. So, so far we're seeing great traction. We are very bullish that this is going to continue.
Right. On that note, since we're running short on time, Kaushik, your closing comments. What exciting things can we expect next from Sugar Cosmetics as we go forward?
Manu, I think as every brand grows, our aspiration is to serve the consumer irrespective of when and where the consumer wants to choose us and buy us. So we are working very actively to blur the line between channels so that we provide a true omni-channel experience to our consumers, which means even more seamless checkouts, even more easier discovery, even wider selection of shades to choose from, and the same trust and quality that we've been known for. Some of these things are easy to control when the brand is at a smaller scale, but as we grow, I think that's what separates a really world-class brand from the others who've tried. So, and we are very, very bullish and focused on making that happen.
Chirag, for you and GoKwik, what lies in store now as you go forward?
So I think, of course, we would want to go deeper on our existing e-commerce sub-bucket, which is conversion. And then you will see us building more products on retention and then moving towards discovery and selection as well. So that's one axis of, where you will see us expanding more. And second is, as Kaushik was saying, that we would want to be closer to the end consumer. And if they are moving towards conversational commerce or they are moving towards live commerce, those are some of the things where we would want to invest on. And third is that we are a product which can be used globally. So we would want to, and there are common characteristics between some of these breakout nations on e-commerce. That's how we would like to call it. And there we find these applicability, whether it is Middle East, whether it is GCC, or whether it is LATAM. That's where we would want to do some amount of experiments and then take it forward.
Absolutely. On that note, gentlemen, it's been such a fascinating discussion, and both of you have some really exciting times up ahead. And from all of us at Forbes India, we can only wish you the best. Thank you once again for joining us today.